are live with the iHemp Hour. My name is Dave Craybill. I'm with iHemp Michigan. iHemp Michigan's mission is to educate, inform, and promote the research, development, and cultivation of industrial hemp here in Michigan. iHemp Michigan advocates for wellness in people and the planet through hemp, and it begins with the farmer. Farmer Blaine Bechtold, what's going on this week?
Hey, we've got a lot of news. We've got a great show with a pack full of information that this show is. So you're going to want to stay right to the end. We're going to, at the very end of the show, Gene Smith is going to come on from Robert F. Murray and talk a little bit about the Paycheck Protection Program, the loan program. We'll talk more about that as that comes on, when that comes up. But really important information there. A lot of people will qualify that hadn't qualified before. So want to stick around for that. And I've got a great recipe at the end for guacamole dip with the big show coming on this weekend. We're going to be snowed in anyway. So make sure you go out now and get all the stuff you're going to need for this. It's pretty simple recipe today. So
I'll share my salsa recipe. I'll go right along with that.
Well, yeah, we'll bring that up then. Yeah. We'll give them a twofer today.
Yeah.
There we go.
We don't have to do that today. We'll send an email. I'll put it on there somewhere.
Okay, we'll put it out there then. Right. Good.
Yeah.
Well, Mike, I've got some more information, but Mike, why don't you take it away first? All right.
Yeah, sure. Michael Thompson, who has been in jail for 20 odd years for cannabis convictions, was paroled about a month ago by the governor, and he was released this week. And that was actually turned into a national event. A lot of people were real interested in his case. And so the other thing that's kind of cool that happened is several of the folks nationally started a GoFundMe page for Michael so that he could buy himself a house. And as of yesterday, it was up to $275,000. So I think Michael can buy himself a nice house, but then he's earned it 20 years in jail. I don't know if any of you have done time behind the bars, but it's not something that you look forward to. So good for him. And so we're going to try to get Michael on our show, the 420 Post, which is on Wednesdays. I was told by Blaine I could do a shameless plug. So 420 Post is 1 o'clock on Wednesdays, and we're going to try to book him later this month or early in March. But as since he's everybody was talking about his case for a long time and lobbying for him to get released, a lot of people are trying to interview him right now. The other thing that came out this week that folks may want to know about in cannabis land is the marijuana licensing, Michigan Marijuana Regulatory Agency that does for marijuana has come out with its social equity plans, and they're available on the MRA website. And so they're trying to get more people of color into the provisioning center growing business, because right now the numbers are really, really low. Like 3.5% African American, 1.5% Hispanic, and the rest are white people. So there's been some proposals out there about how, and if you look at the relationship of how many people are in jail with marijuana convictions, it's skewed heavily towards people of color. So they're trying to make amends here, try to help these people out when they come out of jail, like Michael Thompson. So there's somewhat of a relationship there. And again, those details are at marijuanareport.com. And since I'm allowed to do a shameless plug for next week's show, one of the things we talked about last week was that there was some testing labs that came out and said that there was mold in the cannabis, and the MRA came right out and said not the case, bogus tests. So we're going to have some people on my show next week from those labs so we can explore what's going on and what's the real story. Obviously, nobody wants mold in their cannabis. Same thing with mold in the hemp, right? You can't really sell it. So some interesting shows coming up later this month.
Excellent. Thanks, Mike.
All right. Well, thanks, Mike. That's a lot of great news. Maybe we could, if we can find it, we can throw the GoFundMe page up there. If people want to go to check that out, we'll try to find out where that link.
Yeah, I can get you that information. There's obviously still accepting donations. I donated. Apparently about 8,000 people donated. So everyone's trying to help Michael out.
All right, good. Let's get that information up there somehow then. Interesting you bring that up about mold. Now, this doesn't really pertain to too many people here in the United States, but this is out of Canada. They had a complaint about marijuana gummies with one sick, the recall underway. The recall of edible marijuana products, this time for more than 330,000 packages.
Wow.
The new Canadian recall involves lots of Haven Street, Rays number Wildberry, but anyways, it's interesting that that comes up, and then we talk about here. So the gummies are believed to be contaminated with mold. So, we know, folks, that this is a product that we put in our body one way or the other. We either take it in gummies, or we take it in the CBD, or the oil that I make, or whatever. So it's a food that goes in our body, and we know we're going to have regulation coming. So we had a great segment on that on the at the expo, and we'll talk more about that later. You can still get access to that information. We're going to leave that up for a long time for everything. So one of the things going to happen is I think people are going to look for that seal. At least people are doing what they need to be doing for their food product for that. Jacobson's having their hemp conference that's coming up. You can still register. It's February the 11th for it's they have a great lineup of speakers. They're going to cover cannabinoids. They're going to cover fiber and grain. Many of the speakers that we've had on the show here are going to be on there. Greg Wilson's going to be on there from Hempwood. Greg's product is how we made the Hempy Awards that were given away. And they're also Hunter Buffington is going to be on there talking about the Feed Coalition, and Chad Rosen with Victory Hemp is going to be on there as well. So a great lineup they have. We'll get the information on there. Again, that's February the 11th, and you can register for that. Also, there are the Show Me Missouri is going to be having a live show in March. We'll get some information. We'll talk a little bit later on that on the show. One thing that just came out the other day, this is kind of interesting. Climacell and Ionization Labs, if I'm saying that right, TPS Labs support hemp industry through weather tracking and chemical data analysis analytics. The leading weather and ag tech chemical data analytics companies combined efforts and research program to support hemp industry with powerful data. Climacell, the world's weather intelligent company, has joined forces with Ionization Labs in a nationwide hemp research program called ClimaCan. The program is provided free to farmers and will support hemp growers' archive crop strains, cultivation success based on multivariant data captured, including weather, soil, and crop cannabinoid chemical analysis. Talk a lot more about what they're going to do here, all the things they're going to do. They encourage farmers from around the U.S. to participate in this research project to accelerate the development of a successful hemp industry through applied data. And we'll have more on there. The information gathered this season will be shared with the hemp industry community in an effort to identify the best seed strain genetics for specific weather and growing profiles. I went on there the other day. We'll have it up there. The website to go to is climacan.com farm weather tracking. And we'll get it up on the website so people can look at that. It's a real simple application to fill out. Not necessarily everybody's going to be taken. First come, I don't know if it's first come, first serve, but it's a real simple thing. There's a few questions and, the location of where you're growing at and the strains you're doing. And then you can support that information and help out with getting, again, big data will help the hemp industry grow as we're able to get better strains for what we want to do. But I don't want to take any more time from what we have right now. I'll save that for the end of the show. Right now, I'd like to introduce Mike Cade, a good friend of mine. And Mike's been, last couple of years, been also at the expo showing and having a booth there. He is the Performa product manager for, and Mike, I'm going to let you take it away and tell us about your product.
Oh, very good. Thank you very much. And there is a presentation, and I believe you folks have that. Will that be put up or?
You're able to share, Mike, if you have that queued up, or
I can, I believe it. I do have it keyed up. So what do I need to do here?
hit the share screen button at the bottom.
Share
right in the middle.
screen. I got it. So now let me just bring this down. Yes, you gotta assume you're all seeing everything that I'm doing here.
In a second.
And let me set the display settings.
What was that sent over, Blaine? Do I have that?
Should be an email.
Is it up now?
No, sir.
No, you'd see if it was.
Okay. Well, it says that it is, but my screen is highlighted, and
did you hit the share screen button?
I did hit the share screen.
Oh,
Yeah.
all right.
So
let me take a look. I'm sorry.
Let's see if I can bring it up too.
Missed that.
All right, well, let me, I can just go ahead,
Yeah, talk about it, Mike. We'll bring it
just
up.
talk about it here. So let me, well, here, I think maybe it asked me what screen I wanted to share. Maybe I need to do that.
Oh,
huh?
there you go. Now it's working.
Yeah, there you
All
go.
right.
Okay.
All right, so here it comes, and I believe I'm bringing the right into the right screen. Are you seeing it, or is it
See a purple screen now.
right? So I did have it in the right screen then. Okay.
Yeah, just make, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, I'll get it all up and running for you. And I apologize for this. So
Nope, it's a live show, Mike. This is what happens.
yeah, well, sure. I've watched you guys before. I know exactly. So
Thanks.
Normally it's Dave that doesn't hit the button, you know, so we have to remind him. So
Yeah.
yeah, well, I was told you would run it from your side, so I wasn't prepared.
Sorry,
But
we missed that in the pre-show.
well, that's fine. It's perfectly fine. We've got it up here. I work for Jiffy Products. The company's been around for about 75 years, and for the most part, one of the largest actual harvesters of peat moss worldwide. And then about 14 years ago, started getting into the core or coconut business, and in Sri Lanka, where we not only just like in the peat moss, where we like to actually be in control of the raw material. We have one of the largest coconut groves in Sri Lanka, and partner with others where we are, they meet our high expectations. So the material that we have at this facility in Sri Lanka, which employs about 1,300 people,
wow.
is about 9 football fields that has coconut in there about 4 inches deep, and sun dried. And so we bring the coconuts in, we get it all processed, and then there's a lot of things that we do to this coconut. So I'm going to just kind of run through this brochure very quickly, because I know you got a lot to talk about today. Matt Miller, I have his name up here. He is actually taking over for the Michigan and Ohio market. I have had for 12 years, I've been covering this market, and my responsibilities are changing. But so this is Vika is a kind of a trade name that Jiffy has that is really kind of strategically going after the hemp, both medical and recreational cannabis markets. So these products are specific to those particular markets. So when we start talking about the cocoa that we use, which is buffered and clean, it's organic, and it's OMRI certified. And one of the things that we like to tout probably the most is it's ISO 22000, which is an ISO food safety certified program. And so that means our procedures in place. And there is a YouTube video, if you type in Jiffy and then ISO 22000, and give you a look at the facility and all the protocols. And in fact, when COVID hit, the government had shut down a lot of the different industries. They knew what our protocols were. They came in and they allowed us to continue to work right through that whole process, or through the pandemic to this date, still open and running. So it's a very clean, very well-run facility. Grow blocks is just one of the items, and I'll kind of highlight real quick. So it's in true Jiffy format, like we do with the pellets. It's cocoa pith, and it's compressed, and so it's dry. It's in a netting, which is very similar to like a tea bag type material. It's all PLA, 100% cornstarch, non-GMO used material. And so when they're dry, it allows for us to ship it much more thoroughly, because the cost of shipping internationally can be very expensive. But when you wet them, they will expand, and they will already have a pre-dibble hole in there that can be customized per the customer, and allows for them to go from the plug stage into this stage. And in the beginning, I had some growers in some markets in Canada that were actually just growing their plants in a kind of a quick grow floor mat, just in these blocks on benches, and never even put it into another pot or another media base. And so this is the grow block, which is one. Grow blocks here, this is a very poor picture, but here's a grow block on top of a Jiffy grow bag. And so this is the long grow bags that were originally designed for the tomato market, the peppers and strawberry guys. And And so the grow block and the grow bags, which we also do, and we do those in different formats where it can be more of a husk chip material, depending on what you're growing. It can be a combination of husk chip on, say, the bottom and pith on the top, allowing for great drainage out of the bottom, or it can be just a blend of the two together, which is probably the best media for the cannabis market and indoor maybe hemp growers. This is the Jiffy Easy Fill bag. So it's just a different style of a bag from the grow bag, but it's being used in a lot of different markets here in the Midwest, and some growers that are doing, especially on the medical side right now. And so these come in compressed on pallets. You can have as many as 200-300 on a pallet. They can be customized sizes, and basically you just unfold it, open it up, you wet it, it expands with the cocoa, and even the type of cocoa that's in there, or as far as the grade of the cocoa, can be customized as well in here to give you a more porosity or a denser type material, depending on what you want to do. Custom drain holes can be put in it. And so it's pretty much just you receive it, pull them out, you wet them, and you can go right into the product. The only thing you have to do at the end is you can give us back the plastic. We'll get it to a recycler, or you can take it to a recycler yourself. And you can find an aftermarket maybe for even the cocoa, which makes great mulch. And so lots of landscapers and will come and purchase this material from some growers as well.
What sort of pricing are you looking at? I'm sure it depends on how the quantity purchased, but ballpark figures?
I would say a bag like that, it can be anywhere from about $1.75 to $2.50,
Okay.
maybe. It just depends on, again, on quantity or that kind of thing. And so the bag price isn't just a part of the process, depending on how large or how you're buying it. If you're getting international containers shipped in direct to you, or if you're going to purchase that out of inventory that we may be holding in the Ohio warehouse for Jiffy, which is near Cleveland area. So the freight will factor in somewhere depending on how you're doing it and what the volume is. But that's easy. You just have to ask for some pricing information and we can get it to somebody. It's very stable. The cocoa that we use is very stable in the way we process it and wash it. So you don't find it radical increases in the pH. It's very stable in the way that we wash it. It's a very unique process, a very guarded process that we do that allows it bags still to stay organic. So in the beginning, we used to wash it for the first washing was like a calcium nitrate, which really kind of strips the salts and got the product into more of a stable area. But today it's a more natural process that we go through. And so that was the cocoa side. On the, everybody's aware of the Jiffy pellets. Jiffy pellets come in just a peat format. They can come in a peat with an additive in it that gives more porosity. It's a zeolite and perlite kind of a blend that goes into what we call the Carefree blend. And then there's also 100% cocoa pellets coming out of Sri Lanka. There are combination cocoa peat pellets. And then there's, any of the line can be made in an organic format. And we're very proud of the fact that starting in somewhere around June 2021, we will have finally made the switch on all netting to, again, a corn-based PLA netting. And so it means it's biodegradable. And so we're very happy about that, because for years and years, we had such a great product. But if you were going out into field production, you still had a polymer-based or netting on your pellets. And so the polymer-based netting is pretty much a thing of the past for us on all pellets, all products across the board that we're using now, other than the bags are in a plastic type bag. Pellets can come anywhere from about a 50 millimeter width down to an 18 millimeter width. So you're talking 3/4 of an inch up to almost 2 inches in width. And some of them will go in height from about 20 millimeters, so just under an inch, as high as 9 inches. So some of the forestry, some very large ones. And the nice thing about this is it allows for air pruning of roots and that kind of thing. Or if you're into field production and you're using water wheel type transplanters or any type of transplanter, the pellet goes through that whole process without breaking down very easily at all. So it goes through that process. Very nice. So pellets. The peat pots is another thing Jiffy is known for. There are still some growers that are using the smaller peat pots, and they'll seed into and then go out into the field. That'll be, or even bumping them up into the next size container. They allow for excellent root pruning, and they are 96% peat moss and 4% more of a virgin unrecycled wood pulp material. And once they get planted in the earth with the microbes in the earth, usually these pots are gone within about 14 to 21 days, or at least pretty well broken up by that point in time. There is another version of it that is more of a pot that will it's hydrophobic, so it'll repel water for about the first 5 to 6 weeks, which allows some people, especially at a retail side, if you think about it, they would plant their mums in them, and the pots being just a natural peat material would end up with some algae depending on how growers used it. And this would allow growers to get through the stage where they needed the most water, and then the integrity and strength of the pot, and also the appearance for retail. So the Jiffy Peat Pot Standard, it's an organic 100% OMRI certified product. The R2 pot, which R2 stands for retail ready, is not organic because of the emulsion that's put into it. But we have some options for people. The product that I'm very familiar with, been working with it since the 90s. It was a company Jiffy bought in 2000 as Preforma. Slowly being kind of remarketed as Performa Max because there's been so many changes over the years. So here in the beginning, it was a product that was peat, and then it had a more of a heavy duty polymer based special type of a bonding agent that was applied to it. Today, since Jiffy has purchased it and over the 20 years that we have owned it, the binders have changed. The combinations of peat, there's options for growers to where there's a 70% peat, or excuse me, 70% core, 30% peat. There's material that is predominantly peat with a little bit of core. We like to have core in there. It just allows for better aeration and faster re-wetting of it. And then when this process is started and made, and it's very intricate. It's not just filling trays. This is made into more of a slurry. And then when all the ingredients come together, there's a reaction within there, and so it expands. So these plugs are about 30% or 35% air. So if you're in hydroponic systems, it's still allowing a fair amount of oxygen into the roots. Plants will root much quicker, very, very quickly. So you can begin to save some time depending on some crops you're doing on the bench, allowing you to get the next clones or the next seedling down quicker, and then vice versa. When it gets to transplant, it just really meshes well with other materials. So it allows for optimum use of the moisture in the greenhouse. You can also conserve water and nutrients based on the fact that it re-wets very, very quickly. So it's a great product. It's been around for a long time, and it's a product that is made in the United States. It's also made in Japan, Spain, and in the Netherlands. We're shipping worldwide with this product, and just in the Ohio facility this year, we're probably somewhere a little over 4 million trays going out every year. We can fill just about any tray in the industry because we literally make this into a slurry, pour it into trays from, say, a 32 deep cell tray all the way down to a 512 cell tray. So it's a very unique product. And then Jiffy now, being in the substrate business, and as much as we have in volume of peat moss from bogs, there's 17 bogs worldwide. We decided why not get into the professional substrate business, so mixes. And we don't go and target the let's fill the hanging basket or the finished pot material. It's really, we target it in the beginning more towards young plant material. So for growing your plugs and your seedlings and for filling LE pots and those types of things is where we kind of targeted. But today we have some mixes that are specific to the cannabis market and cannabis plants, both for containers and for young plant material, and even ones that are for baby greens and different things for hydroponics. And so we've taken a lot of our technology and put a lot of our staff to work on the research side. And we do have a lot of people on that area and innovation and research. And so it's starting to pay off. So we have a list of different substrates that are produced. Primarily all of our substrates that are sold in the United States, we're using European peat because we like the little bit larger fiber material, holds more water. It's just, it's a nice material. It's some of it is block cut, some of it is not block. It's just regular scratch and vacuum harvest. And but we're very proud of the kind of the gains we've made in the last 5 years into the substrate business. So that was it for Jiffy, the commercial. And you know, there is some information here that's shown. Jiffy's customer service website is prosales@jiffygroup.com. You can get a lot of great information. Basically, the website is based on being solution oriented. So you can go there and pick particular crops like cannabis or hemp, and you can go in and see some of the very specific things that are going on. www.jiffygroup.com. And then you can contact people at iHemp, like Blaine, who knows me well from even the years of high school. How's that? All the way back. And yeah. And then, but if, you know, questions or phone calls, samples, Jiffy's really good about that. Getting together with product managers and doing some, you know, looking at your systems and what you're doing internally, what you're trying to accomplish, automation or different things that you're bringing in. We have a range of products that allows us to come in and show you some different solutions that are just a little outside the box, but very efficient, very cost effective, and work very well. So thank you for the time. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you, Mike.
Well, Mike, thanks a lot. Appreciate that. I thought I was gonna have to mute you there if you started talking about stories from high school, but good job.
No, but I'm going to stop
Go
sharing.
ahead. You can talk about stories from high school. We want to hear it. So
Color commentary.
yeah.
Well, we'll take those off the air. So
send me an email.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for sharing that information. This is a great time. This is when people need to get this information out if they're going to be moving on with their growing season. So we appreciate you having the time today. So thanks. So Dave, I'm going to turn it back over to you to introduce our guests. How's that?
All right. Well, I'm excited to introduce Cristina and Dr. Fabio from Icon Processing. You know, this is something that, you know, we're getting to learn more about what you're capable of, Dr. Fabio, with your processing, and you've been helping people out. So I'm excited to learn more about what and share out what you guys are doing. So tell us what's the latest at Icon Processing.
Well, thank you guys for having us on the show. We're big fans, always tuning in pretty much every week. A lot of great information has been brought out due to you guys. A little bit about us. We started Icon Processors in 2017 out of Vermont, only due to the fact that Michigan didn't have a program. We opened up our second facility here in Michigan last year. Our main objective here at Icon is to pretty much take hemp that comes in from the farmers and convert that into an oil base. We mainly focus with isolation products out of Vermont, and here in Michigan it's more of the whole plant extract, or also known as crude. We do offer splits, which is a 70-30 normally for the farmer, where they receive 70% of their oil back and we remaining 30 stays with us. Or we offer tolling services where we charge $5 a pound with a minimum of 2,000 pounds to process that into crude. We also have seen lately that it's hard for large farmers, for example, that have like 20,000 pounds. You know, they're looking at us and we don't have $100,000, but we would like the oil because we'd like to make our own products. So what we do now is also offer a split and a toll where we charge $2 a pound and they receive 90% of their oil back.
Wow. Yeah,
We
that's
do
very competitive.
We're trying to make it where it's more affordable. We do offer a lot of white label products. We make our own products as well. We help farmers or other individuals that are in this industry to formulate and manufacture their products, from tinctures to roll-ons to lotions to salves. We don't do everything. We're not trying to be that one company that can do everything, for example, like vape pens or gummies. Doesn't mean that we don't know how to formulate or make these products. It's just that we don't have the proper equipment. And there's other companies out there that are just starting to specialize in these sort of things.
So what, with your processing, what type of processing do you do?
Out of the Vermont, we use a proprietary system there. I had teamed up with a group of individuals out of Massachusetts. They were all pretty much PhDs in chemical engineering, some great minds. So that one there, we don't really share those type of secrets, but here in Michigan, we do offer ethanol extraction.
Okay. All right. And Cristina, you manage the marketing at Icon Processing. Feel free to jump in, talk about some of the, interesting opportunities or challenges you've run across, in marketing these brands, because you have what, four or five different brands that you guys are working on?
Yep. So we have 4 brands right now underneath the Icon Processors overarching brand. And so, over the years, it's certainly had its challenges, as you've mentioned. I think we've really mastered how to do the labeling, not only from a design perspective, but ensuring that you have all of the right requirements on it, down to things like the size of the UPC code, the QR code, the challenges with even the websites that you create for your brand in terms of being able to have a merchant's account. A lot of times what we saw is we worked with a particular web software system, and you'd get it up and running, have a merchant's account approved, and then you'd get a notification a few weeks or months later that they're no longer allowing you to sell CBD. So we would get shut down, and we'd have to kind of find some loopholes and use third-party merchants accounts to link up to the system. So we've really been able to work all of those kinks out and kind of master that process, not only with our own brands, but what we're really excited about is that we help a lot of our clients by white labeling and creating designs for them. We create websites for them as well. And we do it in a kind of turnkey, quick way, because this, like I said, can take some time if you don't have all the kinks worked out. But we really pride ourselves on, documenting that process and making sure it's simple and smooth for our clients who do ask for that type of service.
Have you seen things loosen up with, it seems like it's somewhat loosening up in the hemp and CBD world with Google and Facebook and Instagram being able to advertise a little bit?
I'd say yes, it is loosening up a little bit. There's still posts. Just recently, we tried with Instagram that we were blocked on. So we had to find some loopholes in the message that we have in the actual post or the picture so that we can get it out there and still be able to connect it back to our website. But I'd say definitely in even the past 6 months, I've seen things loosen up a bit. I don't know, Fabio, if you have any thoughts on that too, because he's been pretty involved with that aspect in the beginning. And we used to get blocked constantly on Facebook in particular.
We're seeing a lot where if you show that it's a THC-free product, or if it's a topical, you have a better chance versus an ingestible, considering the FDA and everybody's, is this, is it a supplement? Is it a drug? So we try to stay away from certain things, and especially disclaimers on that aspect. So there are ways to get your product on social media. It just takes some time and a lot of practice, in a sense, and learning what can and cannot go.
Yeah, I would add to that, like, to hit your point, when it comes to a paid promote on Instagram, what we're seeing is if it is a topical, that typically gets through A lot of times the tinctures ones we get shut down unless we do something pretty creative and getting around mentioning what it is. So I would say it's loosened up in the topical area. I think there's still some hope for it to loosen up more in the oil space.
Can you give us an example of how you got creative to get around marketing the tincture?
Yeah, a lot of times don't make that the focus. So when they review that, kind of, if you want to have that in the background in a sense, or try not to mention it so much in the header in a sense.
Yeah. For example, we have our one product line, CBD stat, that one's THC free, but a lot of our other, the full spectrum ones as well. If we're showing somebody maybe working out or having a smoothie and using the oil in it, to Fabio's point, we make the focus on the healthy aspect of the photo. You know, are you getting ready for your Monday workout? You know, and we try to focus on that part of it, even in the picture and in the copy. And then sometimes what we do is lean into the hashtags that allow us to mention the CBD oil or CBD. So people get the point when they see it, but you have to de-emphasize the oil aspect of it.
Camino, by the way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So how about banking? I mean, you guys, what do you find in there? Have you found a bank to work with? Are you having issues there?
Yes, when we initially started, it was pretty much nearly impossible. We found that there's credit unions here in Michigan that seems to have lightened up, but Vermont has been very open about the whole hemp industry and the movement. So for them, there were actually banks out there that were stating, we accept that. So we've worked with a few banks out of Vermont in that aspect for that banking. We feel like it's starting to loosen up, but, you know, for example, don't use Chase, don't use Bank of America, you know, don't use those big named banks. And then you might have to also get a little creative when they ask you what you do. You could say it's botanical, we're in the nutraceutical industry, or it's retailer, but go to your smaller credit unions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, agricultural products is a great way to throw it out there too, with that for sure. Yeah, on that. Now, obviously, your product must be pretty good because you guys won a few awards here at the expo. You got a couple hempies.
Thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, congratulations on that too, your product. So, yeah.
One of the things that I find when, you know, finding, you know, new customers with these CBD products and hearing the feedback and the positive response, you know, it's just the stories. I'm sure you've heard a lot of stories. You know, are there any that stick in your mind, you know, how you've helped some people?
I actually started this journey in about 2012, 2011, researching, you know, cannabis at the time. And becoming a doctor, we never learned anything in med school or any literature really on what is cannabinoids and things of that nature. And I used to look and see how could this be a medicine? So there wasn't much information over a decade ago. So I started doing my own research. And in doing so, I started trying to quantify, for example, flower. Like if I'm supposed to smoke a joint, every hit, what does that equal to? So right there and then I knew it would be in the oil, only because from a medical standpoint, we look at it and say, how can we dose ourselves? And in doing so, I came across a plan of cannatonic. And if a lot of people don't know, was on the market, it's mainly a high CBD strand. And I looked at it in a sense where mothers with children, elderly people that want to go to work, they don't want to get high, you know? And so I would go to dispensaries and they would literally give it to me for free. Because they were like, nobody buys it. Nobody's getting high off of it. And I would laugh so hard because I initially started helping mothers with children with seizures. We had children with 20, 30 seizures a day coming down to like once every 3 days.
Wow.
Seeing mothers that were very content with that, saying my kid's not high. It got to the point though, when Sanjay Gupta came out with Charlotte's Web, I would go to the dispensaries, you couldn't find it. It was literally at that point, it was pretty much always sold out. So what I started looking into, what are other sources to obtain this, and came across hemp. I didn't even know what hemp was 10 years ago. I knew how to make oil, but you know, then looking at that in aspect, seeing, okay, well, if this is agricultural, there's going to be farmers that are going to do 5, 10, 100 acres at a time. You can't use the cannabis systems to meet that. When you have 20 pounds a day with you with 20,000 pounds, how can you convert that? It's literally not feasible. So what we did is we learned how to upscale our systems to meet the demand. Unfortunately, there's not a lot of us out here. I wish there were. I mean, a lot of times we have to deny in people being able to contract with us. And that's for a few reasons where, when CBD was at its prime, you could buy a kilo of distillate for $2,000 to $4,000. So for us to work out a split with farmers was advantageous. But when the prices dropped to $700 a kilo, how am I supposed to be able to run that and still make a profit? There are ways such as having large style equipments. Unfortunately, there's not many companies out there that offer these styles of machines. So what we did is we teamed up with that engineering firm out of Massachusetts, and we figured, what parts do we need from different companies to in sync them to be able to move a large amount of quantity. I don't think we're that big in this industry, but we still can process 1,000 to 2,000 pounds a day. It gives us about a 360,000 to 750,000 pounds in a year.
Mm-hmm. So that's good. That's good. Well, the when the FDA finally rules and it's becomes hopefully just a supplement and another supplement, that's going to really open up the floodgates, don't you think?
I agree to a certain extent. Currently, right now, there's a lot of people that can make products pretty much anywhere. I think with the whole regulations coming in, we're going to see a lot of companies have to put up CGMP compliant clean room. We've done this numerous times. We're already projecting that. We're looking to expand on all of this. We are actually in favor for rules and regulations just due to the fact that it gets a lot of the, as you want to call them, the bad weeds out of the industry. Mm-hmm. We've seen this from time and time again. And, it starts with proper genetics. You got farmers that buy 20 acres worth of seeds. They grow it all year. Then it comes in and it's at 2 or 3%. And we're scratching our heads saying, okay, we worked out a split with you guys. We were projecting around 8%. How am I supposed to be able to make a profit even on 2 or 3%? And, having in-house analytics, we were able to backtrack and see the cause of that. And it was, for example, the genetics they bought weren't there. The beauty about this industry, it's getting better and better every year. Every season, the strains are getting more reinforced. We honestly, I feel within the next 3 to 5 years, they'll actually have genetics out there. They're going to have 0 THC.
Or hopefully we get that 1% margin, so it takes a lot of risk away from farmers. It's not an easy crop to grow properly. It takes a lot of time and resources, and then to lose everything is just tragic.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Curious, where are your facilities located in Michigan? Where are you based?
We're in the southeast region of Michigan.
Okay. I'm in Ann Arbor. That's why I bring this up. We're sort of cannabis central down here.
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. Now, in Michigan, as it has both recreational and, the agriculture of the hemp, do you do processing on both sides, or are you just processing hemp?
No, we only just process hemp at the moment. We don't even dabble with D8. I know a lot of individuals are looking at as a source to sell that under the CBD hemp umbrella. I don't feel that it should be. Maybe I'm one of those few due to the few reasons, but I feel the government's going to stop that within the next year, I'm assuming. We don't currently have a cannabis processing license. We are going to be pursuing a cannabis license here in 2021. We are also pursuing a new facility. That facility will probably be around 50,000 square feet with over 5,000 square feet of just clean room for products. It's getting to that sense where this industries will merge one way or another, I feel like.
Yeah.
From a processing standpoint. To us, we feel honestly, processing cannabis is easier than that. Beauty is we don't have to worry, are we spiking? Are we going to cross that threshold for THC into your, products? It's pretty much, the plant is the same. For us to process it is the exact same, other that we have to look at certain regulations. There were limits to where does that THC fall under. And a lot of individuals don't seem to understand is also when it comes to products. You can make a 10,000 milligram product, but where is your THC level going to end up in? So when we convert oils, we also tell our clients, based on where your levels are, this is how high you can go with your products.
Yeah, before you get over that 0.3.
Exactly.
So that's a good point you bring up. With FDA, their situation looking at this, do you feel any concern or worry about that when you're processing about, going over it? Because in the end, we're not, but no. Okay.
No, it's, I've been doing this for a very long time, and the beauty is we can in sync everything. So look at it this way, where if you're making hemp, it comes in, it's legal. It becomes an oil. If you haven't tested it yet, how are you supposed to know if you're over the level or not? The beauty is we already started working on inline systems where if it needs to go into products, it already gets converted into that. That makes sense. So we're not making the crude and taking it to a distillate form, then taking it to a product form. The systems are pretty much in sync. So
you're never really going over.
Ever worry about that.
So you're never really going over in your process.
You basically take your oil and you infuse it with another carrier, so then you're under that 0.3 at that point.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, because that's an unreasonable risk, because the distillate by its nature is going to be concentrated, so it's going to be high in THC.
I know people can, find your contact information by going to the iHemp website under the business platform. You're there. And I know you're also at the expo. You have a booth so people can go in there and find it. But maybe in the chat, we can put in your contact information of the best way for people if they want to get a hold of you. We'll put that in there so we have that. So, yeah, great. So are you seeing a difference between your Vermont process and product needed there versus what you have here in Michigan, or what do you see there?
Not really in so much. Obviously, people from Vermont, they like that whole New England, just like people from Michigan like their Midwest Michigan products. We're always going to favor our home states in a sense. The beauty about that is, we are covering certain geographical regions, and certain products are made in certain areas for certain types of individuals. And with having so many brands and so many locations, we don't feel that really comes across in a bad way for us.
So not a big difference. You don't have to do things too much differently in Vermont than you're doing here. I mean, everything seems to be okay.
Yeah, we have farmers here that grow hemp here. They want it made here, and they want to be able to sell it and say everything from seed to sale was done in Michigan. There's other individuals that don't really care where the hemp came from. As long as the product's done correctly and it's tested and it meets the clients or the patient's demands of effectiveness, that's what they're mainly looking into.
Someone on our iHemp Michigan page is indicating the USDA final rules, group D8 with total THC, no more compliant D8. Blaine, have you gotten through all 302 pages of that yet?
I've not got through all 302 pages of that yet, Dave, but thanks.
What's up with that, Blaine? Come on, so.
Yeah, not on you, buddy.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how that all plays out. I think you're probably right. What size? Who's your ideal customer? One of the points I was going to ask. Anyone in Michigan can grow 12 plants. 12 plants is more than enough to satisfy the needs of your family for because people can make a lot of these products right in their own kitchen, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
honestly, I had to learn in that fashion.
Yeah, and it works. I mean, it's so different. It's just not as, it's not a white room, right? So, but So if someone wanted to bring you maybe 5 pounds of material that they grew themselves, or is that someone that you'd want to work with?
No, unfortunately, we need at least 200 to 400 pounds just to turn on the equipment.
Okay.
It's I wish that were the case, but it's one of those in the hemp. If you don't have at least that much,
Scale, yeah.
we still require about 2,000 because the 200 to 400 pounds just gets the machine, we'll call it the beast, just get it going in a sense. So
Okay.
once we start the equipment, we want to be able to at least make it worth our time. Up to 2,000 pounds we feel is reasonable.
If I know here in Michigan, adult use is legal, and I know that just this week the Democrats in Congress said that one of their priorities, I don't know if it'll be an immediate priority, but a priority at some point while they have this next 2-year window where they can do things, is to get cannabis legalized on a federal level. If something like that happened, would you be interested in going into cannabis processing?
Yes, as stated, we are already looking to get into that this year.
Okay.
The reason why we want that is also people have to understand in the CBD industry, they always say wait till big pharma gets in here, and they've been in here since day one. A lot of people don't know that, but you might think this product is from a small niche grown farm, is like they like to show that on social media. But if you were to start digging in deep, you see big pharma's been in here since day one. We've had them contact us for isolate. What reason? They call it for research, but they're talking about 10, 20, 30 kilos at a time. I'm thinking you're already making that into products.
That's scale, yeah.
And the beauty about all of this, especially with the analytics now that we're learning, every particular different cannabinoid has its specific benefits. CBN has it, CBD does it, Delta 8 versus THC Delta 9. And being able to isolate every specific molecule, we will see probably within the next couple years having very specific doses. Do you need this as a nighttime relief for sleeping? Or do you need it more for pain? So it's getting to that pharmaceutical style mentality that's going to be able to drive this whole industry, even on the cannabis side. Well, we already see that very easily done on marijuana, where people infuse certain amount of CBD or CBG or CBN and have a 1-to-1 ratio or 3-to-1 ratio. We can't do that on the hemp side with THC, or I feel like with Delta 8s or THCVs, only due to the fact of the legal amount of limit that is allowed in our products.
Sure.
Anything we didn't cover that you want to share out before we have to wrap up?
I've just, again, real quick, want to thank you guys for having us, and thank you for, as you had mentioned, Blaine, the Hempy Awards. So that was a great show. And if anyone's interested in checking out our products, they're on our Icon Processors page. Scroll down the bottom, and there's a whole brand section there. So we offer THC-free lines. We offer full spectrum lines, ones for sports as well. So feel free to check that out. We have really good low prices at a very high quality. So that you can find that on our page.
And that's another thing too. It's, people have to understand, grandma and grandpa can't afford $100, $200 for products every month. You're forcing them to go back on the pharmaceuticals for their prescriptions that Medicare will cover. So we feel that this whole industry has dropped in prices, kept the retailers, and these so-called big processors and manufacturers, I feel, have been greedy. So we're here, in a sense, we started this to help people. We love the industry, we love what it all stands for, but I feel that here within also the next year or so, people are going to start realizing that, $150 for a month's supply is not feasible any longer. When you
not sustainable,
So we pride ourselves in offering some of the highest dose milligrams at the most costly effective price.
That's cool. Helping more people. That's us. Excellent. I appreciate you guys.
Any, Dave, I'm not seeing the chats. Have we had any questions come in on anything? On any of the other meetings that we got?
We're good.
No questions.
Okay. All right. Well, guys, thanks a lot. We appreciate you having the time today and be able to share that information with everybody. Again, we'll get the information up on the chat so they can get a hold of you if they want to have you process any of their biomass for them and make some other things and maybe do some white labeling for them too. So
Yeah.
we certainly appreciate that very much. So
Thank
I
you,
can
guys.
Thank you
tell
for
you right
having
now, folks, we're going to be going over our time. We like to keep it an hour, but today we've had so much information that we're going to go a little bit over time today. So just bear with us. If you have to go, then come back and watch the last few minutes of the show here. But right now I want to introduce Gene Smith with Robert F. Murray. He does our accounting for for iHemp Michigan also. So a little disclaimer there, but Gene contacted me the other day and said, hey, these new rules have changed on this paycheck protection program. And he said, because I was a farmer and I had a Schedule F and everything else, he says I qualified. So he's helped me walk through the process really simple. I contacted my bank that I have my banking with, and I've already got the application in. And so, Gene, I appreciate the help for that. But Gene, can you update everybody on what's changed and what we can how you maybe can help them?
Yeah, so when this Paycheck Protection Program kind of rolled out back in March, they were basing the amount of monies that you could receive basically as a sole proprietor on your Schedule F based on the profits that you had on your Schedule F. Well, that basically eliminated 97% of most of the farmers because by and large, most farmers have losses for whatever reason. So I didn't have any farm clients. I had large farm clients with employees that got PPP money, but I didn't have any sole proprietors, smaller farmers that got any money. So in actually January 17th, SBA basically came out with a revision to the guidelines for the PPP program in that they changed the definition so that now farmers can take their gross receipts and base the forgiveness calculation off that. Game changer, because you could have, $100,000 in gross receipts, but show a $20,000 loss. So now, with that example I just gave you, and that's really the maximum for the calculation is 100 grand of gross receipts. Now you can get, I think it works out to $20,833 of PPP money. So you take the gross receipts, you divide it by 12, you multiply times 2.5, and that's the amount that you're eligible for as a sole proprietor Schedule F with no employees. Game changer. I called 15 of my farm clients, and I mean, virtually every one of them said, hey, sign me up. So for the forgiveness of that, you get to use gross receipts again on the forgiveness side. So where you have to be careful of, so that's all forgivable, assuming that for 2021, your gross receipts is equal to or greater than what we used for the forgiveness. So most of my clients, we use the 2019 Schedule F. So to put that simply, if your 2019 gross receipts were $50,000, then assuming your gross receipts in 2020 are $50,000 or more, anything that you received will be forgiven. If, using that example, in 2020, your gross receipts are zero because you hung it up, you decided not to farm, whatever, then basically the PPP turns into a loan, which is still a good deal. I mean, it's a 1% interest rate. I think you have to pay it back within 2 years, but I'm not even positive on that, because I've not done one PPP where it hasn't been fully forgiven at this point. So,
Wow.
and if you have employees, so if you have a Schedule F and you have employees, you actually get to take your gross receipts plus any wages you paid to your employees. So let's say you had a small farm, you have $50,000 of gross receipts, but you paid $10,000 in wages. Now the calculation is based on $60,000. So yeah, game changer. Pretty cool. Made a lot of my little farm clients really, really happy.
So is it only for growers, or is it other ancillary businesses, agricultural business, like a processor?
So I'm talking about anybody that has a Schedule F. I don't care if you're growing hemp or soybeans. It doesn't matter. Or anything that as long as you have a Schedule F. If you're like sharecropping and doing some other stuff, and you have what's a Form 4835, it does not work for that 4835 because you're not considered self-employed when you file that form. So it's what I'm talking about is anybody that has a Schedule F. The fact that you might have another job and have W-2 income doesn't matter. I mean, you could literally be making $150,000 at some job, get a W-2, and on the side you're farming. You're still eligible for PPP money.
Okay, excellent. All right.
Well, Gene, thanks for sharing that information. And like you say, it's a game changer. I'm pretty happy that I was able to qualify. It's going to help me quite a little bit there.
And I just started this literally, I don't know, Friday, or I don't know when I called you, Blaine.
Friday.
But I've got one guy that actually, we did his loan through Greenstone. He got his money today. And we did the application. I think the application was done on, I want to say Monday or Tuesday. So he literally had his money within 3 days.
Wow.
So a little nice cash infusion if you need it for into this year, that's for sure. So, so what's the best way that people can get a hold of you? How should we get that information out if they want to give you a call and have you help?
Well, if somebody is, doesn't have somebody that can help them or guide them through the process or whatever, then I'm happy to help. Probably shoot me an email is the best way to do that. So I don't know if you can somehow share that, Gene at Robert F.
Put it in
Murray.
the chat,
Probably the best way to do it.
Yeah, we'll get it in the chat for sure.
Okay.
And we'll maybe make a blurb of that somehow on the website too, so people can do that. If you want to get this in timely, that's the key, folks. You want to get
the beauty of this application compared to what I call normal loans. So banks required oodles of documentation and employee earnings reports and 941s and 1028s, and I mean there was 30 pieces of paper that you had to get to the bank for this normal thing. This farm one is literally an application and a copy of the Schedule F. So there's not a lot of documentation, and it's pretty quick and easy to complete.
Well, Gene, thanks for taking the time out of your busy day too, because I know this is tax season for you right now. So, but thanks for sharing that information, and we hope that helps out some other people that may need a little bit of cash infusion right now. They can get it. So, thank you very much for that.
You're welcome.
Very much. All right, so I know we're over time a little bit, but I'm going to try to wrap this up as soon as we can here and move on to what everybody watches the show for, is the recipe at the end.
You're the star, Blaine.
Well,
we're coming. We talk about our friends in Missouri real quick.
Yeah, let's talk about that, Dave. Bring that up.
So we've made some new friends. One of the cool things, I got drug into this industry 2 years ago, and it stuck because the people are so cool. And Show Me Hemp Association reached out from Missouri, and they've been really supportive with us, and we're trying to reciprocate. They have a show coming up, a live show. You can actually see people and shake their hands. How weird would that be? We haven't done that in a long time. March 1st, Jefferson City, Missouri, and their price is reasonable, $110 entry fee for non-members. Members get in free of the Show Me Hemp Association. They're also involved with One Voice, which is a One Voice for Ag, which is supporting some organic growing.
How are they able to pull off a real conference during the age of COVID? How have they worked that out?
I don't know.
I think the rules are a little bit different down in Missouri, so they don't have quite the restrictions on it.
Okay.
When I was reading the news this morning, they're scratching their heads because the numbers are dropping so fast all of a sudden. So let's keep that trend. So let's get back to normal life soon. I'm going to pop in. They have a thing on cryptocurrency, and
yeah, that's going to be really interesting for sure.
Yeah.
And then I will be on the roundtable panel that they have there, so I get my another 15 seconds.
Look at that, iHemp Michigan. There we
right
go.
There, yeah, right there. I get my 15 seconds of fame for sure. They
So-
also do have you can't make it in person. They have a virtual one, a virtual $35, I think it is.
Yep,
And,
$35. You can join virtually and watch all the content. So
And they've made a reciprocal thing. So what'll happen is if you go on and do the virtual, actually some of that money of the ticket price actually comes back to iHemp to help us. So we really appreciate that, working with them on that. So we expect that to certainly increase. And with the One Voice for Ag, we'll be doing some stuff with them too. So look for really good things there. So also, I will mention this, although you're in competition, they have a great raffle that they have going on. If you go to their site, even if you can't make it there. I know I shouldn't say this, Dave, but I'm gonna anyways. I got to. So they've got a professional fishing trip available, and the tickets are only $17, and they only have like 500 of them.
But Dave has already bought 400, I think, right, Dave? Or
yeah, I bought a couple.
Yeah.
Okay. I've got a couple too. So, but anyways,
fishing in a long time. It sounded like fun.
Yeah. So great. Your chances are really good for winning, and it really very helps them out a lot with their organization down there. And
yeah, they have a professional guide, Bass Pro, and
yeah, so that'd be a lot of fun. So if you're a fisherman at all, or if you know somebody in the family is fisherman, you might want to enter that and help them out and get a good chance to maybe take a trip down to Missouri and do some fishing there. So one thing I want to remind everybody, which is important here in Michigan, of course, is that no later than the close of business Friday, which is the 5th, you need to make sure you get your survey back in. If you haven't done that, please take time to do that. Don't have them hunt you down, because if you don't do it, you won't get another license until you complete that. So help them out. Make sure you complete what you agreed to do, originally when you signed up to grow or process. It's real simple. It's not that many questions. And if you are a grower and processor, you only have to fill out one survey. You don't do two. But if you need to get that, you can go to the website, the MDART website for industrial hemp, and please make sure that you get that filled out and get that back into them.
Yep, quick and easy.
A couple other things we got going on. The Hemp at the Crossroads, that got canceled. Was going to be in February. They've moved that now to December. So we'll have more information on that as it comes out. But what they have done is the Midwest Hemp Council has Fridays, the 19th, 26th, March 5th, and March 12th from 1 to 2 p.m. They're going to have a webinar series that they're going to put on. There'll be more details that they'll put out on that about who will be on that, who will be, what they'll be talking about on those webinars. But these are free to attend. And so again, they're going to start February the 19th, and we'll get some more information on that. So they're going to try to supplement not having the face-to-face with putting out some great information, just like we're doing as well. They did just have finishing up. Here's an Ag Expo they had out in Iowa, and we'll get a report from Jamie on that and be able to share that back with everybody as well. So, and let's see what other good information I have to share today. There's so much going on, but I think that's going to be it. We're a little over our time, and I want to be cautious of that. NOCO is coming up too. That's in March. So if you're thinking about doing that at this point, still going live out there with that. They have February 9th and 10th is National Hemp Symposium, and February 22nd and 23rd is the Industrial Hemp Summit. And then March 4th and 5th is a small farmers conference we have for that. So without further ado, unless there's anything else anybody has for the good of the program, I want to thank Mike. I want to thank Cristina and Fabio for coming on today and sharing that great information on what you're doing for everybody and making it affordable. That's a key that a lot of people forget about sometimes. So we appreciate that. And Mike, thanks for plugging your shows coming up. Again, Mike, one more shot. You want to do a plug for those?
Yeah, sure. Never miss an opportunity like that. Next week on 420 Post, we're going to be looking at testing labs because that controversy came up about whether there was mold or not that was getting through the labs. And so we're going to have some folks on to discuss that. Hopefully somebody from the MRA will be joining us. And that's you can find us on Facebook at 420 Post at 1 o'clock every Wednesday. And we have our co-hosts Jamie Cooper from Sensi Connects and Rick Thompson, who everybody in Michigan knows, sort of Mr. Marijuana. He's our other co-host. So some real good experts in there to talk about what's going on in the cannabis world here in Michigan.
Speaking of testing labs, I want to thank this way.
Yes, that
Labs
one, yeah.
For,
Right.
Veritas Labs for sponsoring iHemp Hour, as well as bringing on board Mid-Michigan Hemp Supply, because we've got those seedlings that we want to get in the field soon. And they've got a lot of varieties. They have a greenhouse up in Midland and a farm down in down by Brighton, Milford area.
Mhm.
So
We did have one question. I see we do have one question that came in, and I don't know if Gene is still with us or not, but Christine asked, do processors
we
qualify?
covered that. You have to have a schedule
Schedule
up.
F.
Thanks.
Yep, about that. So, okay. All right. Anything else anybody got?
We're waiting for the emperor.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah, we need the rest.
That's what everybody
Okay.
watches the show for. I know they do. So,
It is.
yeah. So today, again, with the Super Bowl coming up this weekend, figure this is a great guacamole dip that you can make pretty simple. No party is complete without this creamy, decadent dip. Mashed avocados are blended with the gentle bite of shallots, the lively freshness of tomatoes, and the tangy of lime juice to create the perfect symphony of flavors.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a great intro, isn't it? I thought it was. Yeah. 2 ripe avocados, a couple tablespoons of fresh lime, 2 medium tomatoes diced, half a cup of minced shallots or red onion, 1 clove of garlic minced, half a cup of shelled hemp seeds. I always make that a little more. I usually use a little bit more than that, maybe a 1/4 cup, maybe, or a half a cup might be good. A half to 2/3 teaspoon of sea salt. And if you got it around, some fresh cilantro and a generous pinch of chili powder. These are 2 optional things. Basically, you peel the avocados, you put them in the bowl, you mix it all up, get your favorite chips, and away you go. It makes about 2 cups, probably take you about 5 minutes to do this one. So everybody enjoy your weekend. The game coming up, I don't know who you favor for that, but
We can't say the Super Bowl, can we? We're not allowed to say Super Bowl.
Probably
We should not say Super Bowl in any way, shape, or form, should we?
shouldn't know.
You just did several times, but
Oh, I'm
I thought
sorry.
maybe we might do a square or something, Dave, but we just didn't get around to doing
that's
that.
right. The NFL is going to be all over you, Dave.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
Okay, we got better lawyers than they do. At least our accountant's better, right, Gene?
I hope.
Yes. Yeah. Thanks,
All right,
Gene,
everybody.
for
Well,
all you
thanks
do.
for everybody again. We appreciate everybody's having their time and spending time with us today. And we'll see you next week. So
Oh, yeah. We do have to talk about next
we
week.
do have to talk about next week. Yes, we do. So the problem we have with next week's show is we can't get the samples for next week's show directly shipped to us from Texas because Highway Vodka can't ship into Michigan. So if we got any friends out there in Indiana or whatever, we might make a deal with you. We might ship the case to you, and maybe you can have a bottle and ship the rest of it to us. So anyways, Highway Vodka is with us next week. Ben Williams, it's a distillery down in Texas, and they're going to share with us their secrets of making Highway Vodka, which is made with hemp. So next week's show
sounds very healthy too.
Yeah, it does. They've got a great recipe on there for, and I'll have that for next week. That'll be our recipe for next week. So.
A premium hemp vodka distillery.
There we go.
Mm.
There we go.
As I live and breathe. Look at that, huh?
Isn't that beautiful?
Yeah.
Gluten-free, too.
Oh, is it? Wow.
No glutens.
All right, everybody.
Thanks for playing.
Thanks.
All right, thanks. See y'all next week.
Make it a great day. Peace and love.